So we'll take a short break and come back for group process. Thank you. Okay, hi everyone. So it looks like Zoom crashed during our last sit, so it seems like everyone is rejoining. So that is something unique. I don't think that's ever happened before. It's like usually if one person's internet goes out, the system still stays up. So it seems like Zoom itself crashed this time. But anyway, I'll just, it seems like a few people are still rejoining here, so I'll just give it one more minute, see if we get back up to the usual number here. All right, so Tayama, are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Um, yeah, so are you gonna queue people
Got
up?
it.
Awesome,
Yeah.
thank you.
I just want to make a little note that there were a couple of people that we didn't get to yesterday, so I'm bumping them to the front of the queue. So we'll get to everybody hopefully today, but I'm going to bump a couple of people up front, so it's all
Okay,
Rufina.
yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Hi
Hi,
there.
hi there. Hey everyone. Um, I'm shaking a little because the question I have is just so deep inside. Um, I was normal person, I promise, until I started to question myself. And yesterday you mentioned that schizophrenic and madness. I had such sort of not I had sort of revelation some time back, but it wasn't a feeling of love or expansion or anything like that. It included it, but it was as if everything that exists, everything that is known, unknown, is all just my mind is creating it. It's not it's hard to put into words, but at the same time, the oneness didn't come with just a feeling of love. It also came with this primordial fear of, not fear, but the feeling of one cannot be like, oneness itself is not just a beautiful thing. It also just tearing my soul apart because I'm so lonely. There's nothing but me. And I don't know, I have problem meditating because when I touch up onto that, I feel it so deep. I'm so scared to go crazy.
Yeah, what you're describing, the truth is very profound. The truth of what we are, what this is. So that fear that's coming up. So it seems clear you're getting a glimpse of the truth. So who does that fear belong to?
Yes, and it's hard to fight it. It's hard to fight. I avoid any sort of touching on that. And at the same time, it became like an obsession. I don't even question who I am. I'm in awe all the time of who is watching through my eyes,
Hmm.
what is seeing, what is perceiving. And it's just stuck in my head like a loop, like a dead loop. Um, uh, and I kind of hide it. I don't talk about it.
Hmm.
But when I go to sleep every night, I go crazy because I see things, experience things and I cannot. I have two little kids. I just so scared to go crazy. And it does feel like madness. What if everything will just shut down once,
Mhm.
like nothing will exist anymore?
Mhm. Mhm. So yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the mind is madness, you know. The way we live on this planet is madness, you know. You started out by saying, um, you know, before you started the self-inquiry, you were a normal person. Um, you know, what comes up for me is that you know what Krishnamurti said. It's no measure of one's sanity to be well adjusted to a crazy world. You know, so you're starting to uncover the unconscious mind. You know, and it is mad. It is craziness, and the beginning of sanity is to see it, is to make it conscious. Yeah, because then once you see it, you can become free of it. Yeah, so
It's process. I'm sorry. I'm just,
it's okay.
well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is that the process that is necessary for whatever reason? I cannot trust it though.
So yeah, for me, like what's happened on my own path, there's been times where in meditation, and this is I've seen this over and over many times, where it's like we come to a level of mind, and quite often it's after, you know, sometimes the mind, you know, there will have a beautiful awakening or you know, a peak kind of experience, and then it's like some level of mind comes up to the surface, and it's like all hell breaks loose in the mind, and it sometimes it's just these low level thoughts being generated, almost, it's crazy, you know, there's no sense to it, and this is like the background chatter in the unconscious that can sometimes come up to the surface, and it just seems to be a phenomenon that comes up. It doesn't come up for everyone, um, but it's an opportunity. You know, it's like, you know, that saying, "What you resist persists." So if we have resistance to that, then, you know, it'll just keep coming up until we can go, okay, you know, this is madness. You know, the mind, this level of mind, whatever that is madness. But if we can be equanimous with that, and it takes deep equanimity to be okay with that, and it is possible, um, and
I'm sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, I think my internet cut out this time here. Um, yeah, so, you know, to me, you know, this path, it all comes down to being okay with what is, and I trust what's unfolding in this process. You know, when we intend to directly experience, you know, when we're on this path of awakening, we're given exactly what we need in the moment to see. You know, I believe there's an intelligence that is orchestrating everything here, and you know, I don't know you know, the particulars in your case, but I trust that if you're, you know, you're doing this work, you know, there's a clearing process that's happening. It's bringing up fear, emotions, worries. So this is an opportunity to see that, to see what's coming up, and you know, these are big things. These are core entanglements with that, you know, belief structure that we are this character.
It's unimaginable.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have just one little question. Um, would you s- would you think that a teacher might help? Because I haven't like, would that be useful to look for someone to seek for advice or something?
Yeah, like I think I'm gonna write it down to connect with you in the dyads tonight, and we can explore it. Actually, the dyads are a perfect um, place to explore this, and yeah, and we can connect. We'll make sure you're good. Yeah.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Carrie,
Um, Hello,
Hi there.
Namaste from Birmingham, Alabama. This is my first time retreat. Um, I'm very honored. I had no idea how powerful this is, having everyone's energy come through. Um, I came very wounded in November. My youngest child, Harper, she fell asleep at the wheel at um, after a night of studying at college, and she went underneath an 18-wheeler. And Harper did survive, but 4 weeks of deep coma, and she does have traumatic brain injury. And so, you speaking about the having no escape, and there was no escape for me. Lots of complications of family in a high intense situation where I couldn't see Harper as much as I would like to. And so I literally, at that deathbed moment of my child, I felt helpless, hopeless. Um, and so the non duality for me is a relief. It's like I found the exit door. I couldn't be Carrie anymore. I couldn't stand it, couldn't tolerate it. I would have literally scrubbed my character off of my energy body. And so these deep seated meditations, um, I'm having, yesterday I had to back off the dyad because the first 2 days I literally was being absorbed into the presence of I am. And I humbly say that, but I came so desperate. And yesterday I just felt like I was having such intense um, communion with the I am that I felt swallowed up. Um, I felt that the oneness was was it was so powerful that I had to back off and come back into my character of Carrie. And so this morning I had an unusual experience in the meditation this morning where my body wanted to move. I literally had to turn off my camera where I could be in a sitting state with everyone, but it was like the energy was doing a clearing of that trauma. I felt like I came to y'all with a lot of entrapped trauma that is releasing. And so I just any kind of pointers when I have that presence of the I am where it's so swallowing, like I've been swallowed up in that presence. Is it normal to feel like I need to back off and just take a breath from it?
Hmm.
Is that normal? Because that
Yeah.
energy's so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like for so when we and I'm just remembering being in one of the dyads with you as well because I could feel what was coming through, and yeah, like it. So the self structure when we really open to that to the divine, there's so much that comes down, and and if we're not if it's new, if this is something new, it's like the wiring, it's like putting like 1 billion volts
Yeah.
through these tiny wires, so it can overwhelm the system,
Mhm.
literally overwhelm the character, the system, and everything, and it takes time, so that's why, like I always feel like gradual is sometimes good. With this, there's a growth and an integration that can happen. So you've made the connection, and now it's just keeping that open, keeping the heart open. There's going to be an ongoing clearing process,
Okay.
to integrate that. Yeah, and given what you just shared, the profound nature of what you've been through, um, the fact that there's this opening now that comes from that. That's
Mhm.
yeah, I can feel how much that is, So yeah,
Yes.
I would say, be gentle with yourself,
Yes.
take it easy. And sometimes, we want to open to it all and have it all, and we will, but there's also a development process that is in play. That inner lotus needs to kind of take its time to grow and explore, and it's like energy never just goes from here to there. There's always this
Mhm.
sort of, if you think about lightning, it's never A to B. It's always this, like
Yes.
this, and so just let that energy unfold, and that whatever's going on in your meditation, those movements,
Mhm.
the kriyas, that's part of that energy reconfiguring, and it's amazing when it comes up. It's really, that's where yoga came from. Is
Yes.
some yogi way back, was in meditation, and the energy would come and literally move the body into these postures, and then somehow all these people started emulating the postures, but that's not what yoga is. It's not emulating postures. It's actually
Yes.
allowing that energy to move us, and trusting the intelligence of it to open us, to clear, whatever needs to be cleared. So yeah, so it's great if that's happening, just yeah, just surrender, just allow.
Well, I just want to say thank you for being our teacher, and thank you for your team and everyone that's participating, because it's helping me feel a wholeness and a new beginning that I've never felt possible. I did not think. I thought that at Harper's, the deathbed moment of my child, which my child has been raised up like Lazarus, but this is a gift that's been given. I can't I can't thank y'all all. Everyone has been a part of this. I feel an incredible gratitude.
Mm,
And so I can't even put it into words, but thank you so much.
mm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergio,
Thank you, Tamaya. Thank you, Dan. Uh, when my question is, when you say, Dan, bring that into the diet, like an issue that somebody has mentioned
Hmm.
here on the Q&A, how can I do that? Do I bring a memory from childhood or from or what have you to
Hmm.
the diet?
Hmm.
Because what I've been doing in the diet is just bring out whatever is happening in that very moment. I'm
Yeah.
not searching for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So if it's something unfolding on the path, chances are it will be there in the dyad. If it's something that is meant to be integrated and explored, then it's likely to come up. But you're right. We don't want to plan for anything, because we don't know, what's going to come up when we do that inquiry. Anything can come up. So we don't want to. Yeah, that's the opposite of spontaneity if we're planning. So yeah. So but chances are, things that are requiring integration for most people when something is unfolding like that, it will show up at some point.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is, I feel that I'm in the process.
Sorry, I lost you.
Uh, I can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I lost everything that you just said there. So yeah.
Okay. I feel that I'm in the process of just being the witness, and I can see clearly how the form. Sometimes I can see the thought, but I don't sense anything in the body.
Hmm.
And I was thinking on the concern is like, well, if I see a thought that I'm not judging, but I don't feel anything in the body. So I don't know if that makes sense. It's kind of weird.
So when you see a thought, like, do you catch what the thought is and share that with your partner?
The diet. No, no, no. On the diet, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying, like during the day or through the process or during the walking meditation, or if I'm preparing breakfast or tea this morning, I
Hmm.
could see how a thought rises in the mind,
Yeah.
but it doesn't cause anything to the body.
Hmm.
It's just like plain, no emotion, no sensation.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So it's like a free play of thoughts.
Right.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and you're not like
I'm not
believing
clinging
the
onto them.
Yeah, yeah,
No, right.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, yeah. And
Oh, okay.
that to me is, there's a when the mind sort of opens, and so that the character is made up of just the preferences towards those thoughts. It's the grasping of those thoughts and the believing of those thoughts. So when the mind opens, when that grasping releases, then there can just be a free play of thoughts.
Okay.
And that's when, it's the transition, like from going to the, just the silent witness to this sort of open mind where, it's kind of like the energy that we were just describing, where, it's like the energy or some from somewhere, it's like the animating principle within this self structure just comes alive, and it's not separate from that silent witness. So it's like literally the silence speaking, or just allowing everything to be, moving in the silence, or you could say like conscious energy.
Very well. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully that's not too
Yeah.
obscure.
Yeah, no, no, not at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah,
No, because when I see thoughts that affect me, like as I mentioned yesterday with my roommate, oh, he didn't do the dishes,
yeah,
and then so what I was describing prior to this comment is just
yeah.
this like opening this, I can see them freely with no cling
Mhm.
on to them.
Yeah, yeah, it's great when and sometimes those thought patterns they'll go for a while, It's like we pull the plug on the fan, but it keeps going, and it's amazing. Like I did, decades of meditation, and yet, I would go into traffic, and somebody would cut me off, and the little mind would generate a thought like screw you kind of thought, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, what?
Mm,
You're still doing that? Like it's interesting. Yeah, but
okay.
but you just kind of smile at it, and eventually it's like a wave that calms down.
Very well. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Yuli, and sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
You're still muted there.
Hi, Dan, and hi, Sheila. I like to say hello to Sheila. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your humbleness and your sweetness, I like to say, and for all the people. My question goes to surrender and strong determination. Like you mentioned yesterday, your Iboga experience, it came to my mind in winter, the winter retreat, I couldn't attain because I had 3 days of strong vomiting, and really it was like my whole life is coming through me, like I was giving birth to something. And it happened without taking anything because in this lifetime I decided not to. I'm afraid of taking substances. So I had a strong belief or trust that everything is happening when it should happen. So it was a big clearing, I guess, in a way. And my question is, but tomorrow in the diet, this morning we had this. I could see that I'm witnessing and I'm the witness, and I easily can access this state where I feel things coming up where I'm the space. I'm kind of space, but I cannot make the shift from seeing also or being the space. And when I go into this question, I have the feeling getting mad. So what to do? Just hanging out there in the space where I can feel sensations coming. My body is happening in the space. I mean, it's more difficult for me when I have these pain issues I have for 30 years. Then it's more difficult to get detached. But I think there's nothing happening except then I can feel space and myself and my viewing, my body is happening in this space. Should I do something? Or should I just stay and wait? And when I was inquiring into this morning with my diet partner, tears coming up. I was really sad in a way. It was a sense of, okay, I will never get it. I'm left behind. So this is my experience, and I like to say, what is surrender is a big part in my life and trusting, but then maybe what can I do? Because even in meditation, I fall asleep and I cannot do 3 hours, and I'm a little bit a lazy type, I guess. So I'm afraid that I miss something, that I'm too lazy just hang out in the space. You know, and it's nice, but I don't go beyond this. What you mentioned the other days, there is another. It's not it you mentioned. This is I hope you got it. What I'm
Yeah, I got it. So yeah, there's a few things that I picked up there. So yeah, so you mentioned that sort of an anger coming up at some point, and a feeling of not getting it, like being left behind. Is that right? Yeah.
yeah, sadness, a
So
big sadness. It was a
yeah,
sadness.
and the sadness, yeah. And so this, so it sounds like you're working correctly. It sounds like you're like, like the sadness, that's coming up, like that little self, the character, that is sad. Um, it actually has to go through a sort of failure. It has to, that little self is doomed to fail. Because it never awakens, right? So it goes through almost like a devastation or a grieving sometimes, where it's like it can't do it. It's failed. It's done. It's tried everything, and then eventually that part of us will stop doing what it's doing. The doer, the seeker, the one that's trying to make something happen will stop. And it's in that stillness then that those are the conditions when the mind is just, it's given up, it's confused, it's like devastated. Then in those conditions, it's the perfect place for awakening to happen, for the next thing to unfold. So I would say, whatever's coming up, it's just, the more we just allow it, so if it's anger, express it fully, get it out, communicate it fully. If it's a feeling of being left behind You know, that, but inquire at the same time, like who am I? You know, who am I really? Am I, you know, the character or the one, you know, feeling this devastation or feeling the, you know, the feelings, or, you know, am I who is aware of all of that unfolding? You know, what is this awareness that is watching all of this, aware of that? So, you know, if you can directly experience that,
Mhm.
you know.
And even the feeling I'm getting mad when I inquire behind and who am I, and it's getting like a knot in my head. I get like, oh my God, I get crazy when I go there. I just leave it and I just watch it, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just watch this knot and this, like, I'm so confused.
Yeah,
I just step back and I watch it, what to
yeah,
do. Yeah.
yeah. It's a task that if the mind tries to do it, you know, the mind, it's torturous for the mind and exhausting, and we get ourselves into all kinds of paradoxes in the mind and greater confusion. So when the mind finally relaxes and goes, okay, you know, I can't do it. You know, I surrender. You know, maybe there's something else, some other possibility here, you know, but the mind is not the tool that makes it happen. So, you know, if we get to that point, then, you know, the next thing will unfold from there.
It was a feeling like I just dropped this thought because I don't want to go there. It was just like this. It's okay. I just dropped it and immediately I relaxed in a way.
Hmm.
Just
That's
dropped
good.
this.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I what to do. I did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we'll
Mm,
it like in this process, we'll naturally go towards what feels like a greater sense of ease in the mind and body. You know, this process leads to a greater sense of peace and ease. So when you notice that you know that a contraction has released, you know, that's a sign you're going in the right direction. Yeah.
and I don't have to do anything with like going beyond the viewer and the viewing. I just stay there. I don't have to do anything to go beyond, because you said in your sheet you say who is aware of both the witness and the phenomena being witnessed, and
Mhm.
so I can't do anything, right? Or do I have
Yeah.
to do something?
So
Sorry.
yeah, so the mind, you know, in that inquiry, that moment of inquiry, you know, tell me who you are. You know, if
Mm,
if the mind is moving, trying to figure that one out, it will never do it. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just there is one who is aware of everything, of all of it, you know. But it's so direct that you don't need the mind
Mhm.
to experience who you are, you know. So it's the mind. It's like you're already there, you know. It's like you're already at home, and then you have a map, you know, of like how to get home, you know. And so the mind is always fixated on the map, but you know, awareness is just there. It's closer than closer than the you that you think you are. Yeah.
Sometimes I think I'm the awareness, but then I think, oh my God, maybe it's not. Yeah, I don't know. So I
Yeah.
leave it. I will find out.
It's
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's the thinking, you know. If you think you are awareness, you're still thinking. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Um,
Blessings, everyone. Thank you so much, Dan, Sweet and staff for your service. This is a multi-part question with two if so's and one if not. First, please describe the last time the Dan character suffered. Has the Dan has the Dan character overcome suffering? If so, do you believe that you will experience future incarnations? And if so, will that character or those characters be born with that wisdom and never suffer? Finally, if not, is it possible to reach that level of awareness and consciousness? I'll read it again.
Wow, it's okay. So I have one question for you. Who wants to know? Who wants to know?
Both. the Sam character, the Sam character and Sham.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like, you know, I could say some stuff about all that, but I think what would serve better is, like when you know yourself, the true, like the Dan character is just a character. Like there's just no difference. I grew up in, a normal kind of, my parents were teachers, very, very, just like every other self structure, um, so the Dan character never, it doesn't overcome suffering. It's like the flip is just recognizing who I am, that I'm not that character. So, all the suffering is always within the conditioned self. So it's not it's like the questions are a little bit leading, I guess, in a certain way. Um, so I would just say, if what what possible answer could I give? Like what would that do for you on your path?
Um, well, I'm a student of great master Baba Sawan Singh, and at the last week retreat, I described that some of that in detail and those beautiful experiences I had, merging the breath and the sound, and having these profound experiences, which I'm so grateful for. And I have very deep meditations whenever I'm in this session. So, uh, I can say I definitely believe in future incarnations, and I've had glimpses of them and past. And I believe from the teaching that there are so many different levels. Like we're living in Pinda, which is mostly physical, that the next stage is Anda, which is like a lower heaven. I think that's where, you met the Sufi. I think that then there's the causal region, and then there's Sachkhand, which is beyond time and space. In the third level of Brahmanda, you can move backwards and forwards in time. And each region is one of greater expansion and beauty where you can travel. So I'm curious if you've distinguished those various levels of awareness or consciousness.
Yeah, so there is an unfolding happening, like all of us, that inner lotus, I think, is like the bridge to higher worlds, so that lotus is the possibilities are different for different people. I've had glimpses into these realms, sometimes more than glimpses, but when it comes to those realms, that so there's possibilities within this whole um, game, or whatever this matrix is, all these different levels. And to me, I some of those levels, I'm just like a little baby, being, getting a little glimpse. It's like, oh, like, wow, this exists. It's like awe, you know. It's like the closer we come, I think, to the source, to all that is, it's like this. We are like little children in awe of what is possible in this experience. But to me, that path of, that's an evolutionary path. That's a growth path. The soul's journey, goes through these growth cycles. But that's different than awakening. Awakening is recognizing the truth of, that it's the one, having all these different experiences on all these different levels, it's extremely unfathomable what's happening. It's like the one divides itself into these different levels and possibilities, and what I've seen is that it's incredible, and I love to explore it. I love to explore it all, and but I don't see it as I think what comes up for me is Terence McKenna said, the universe is a novelty conserving engine. It's always creating new stuff, and it's endless. And to me, I love to sit in that and experience it. But I to me, the mapping of that and the unfolding of that, every teacher has a different map. Every system has a different map. They have different words for it. And to me, there is a perennial truth underlying it all, but to me, it's not necessary to conceptualize. I'd rather sit in the mystery, in the awe of it.
Thank you. Just one quick follow-up. So the Dan character suffers, but let's say it's it doesn't last as long. And will your future characters, incarnate, if you believe in reincarnation, do you think that you carry the wisdom of this life into the next?
Yeah, so when you say your future characters, that's the sticky part. Whose future characters. So the Dan character will die and disappear and be gone.
Right.
And there are things, whatever you call them, perhaps akashic imprints that are like ripples in the big ocean that can carry on as well. So there are aspects, from, you could say other lives, that have those ripples carry into this life here, and there are ripples from this life that can carry on into others. But I would never say, my future lives, unless I'm speaking, on behalf of the one. It's the one playing hide and seek with all of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Sam.
Jan.
You, Jay.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, UJ.
So I'm so thankful for your teaching last night at the Dyads, where you walked through the stage. Because I have been having a hard time with the fifth stage. And it was so useful to have it named. Because in previous retreats, I didn't come face to face with this like I have here. And at the 3-day retreat last year, I remember coming face to face with it. And within a short period of time, there was just like a summoning of like a tremendous amount of energy that lifted the awareness and caused the flip. But I never truly worked through it.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's stuff I've never dealt with before. It feels solid. It feels immovable. Yeah. So if you can expand on that, if you can double click on that, it would be really helpful because.
Yeah. Well, I think you've really, like whatever that is, whatever feels solid, whatever you feel has come up as a result of that inquiry, that's what you want to explore. That's it. Like just convey it. Tease it apart. Find out what exactly that is, and yeah, as you go into it, it'll be less dense. That's whatever it is. It's coming up for a reason. So yeah, just be with it and keep going.
Yeah, well, the way I'm doing it also is I'm mindful of dealing with it in a nuanced way versus kind of storming the gates of heaven
Yeah.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there are releases happening, laughter, tears, like there's action. Um, I guess, yeah, I guess keep going is the way. Are there specific examples of like what would be not a good way of going about things? Seems like I'm
Um, maybe
right thing.
maybe maybe planning out, what you're gonna do. Yeah, yeah, like that would not
Okay.
be a good way. Yeah, yeah, like just I would say that to just be with what is in spontaneously, moment to moment. Yeah, without
Uh,
planning, without it seems like the mind wants a little map or some breadcrumbs, and I'm not gonna feed it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Um, Now, but the one thing I do want to do here is I truly want to move through this. It's a serious piece. It's like the core attachment, the I feeling, and it's got to go. So it's got to get worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, UJ. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Penny in our room, Dan, has a question, and I'm hogging the camera right now, so I'm going to read it for you if that's okay.
Sure.
When Penny's in meditation and she's not feeling the body, but she's awake and in the mind, and then the body slumps forward and feels like it's asleep, she's wondering if this is Turiya or what is this?
Hmm. Yeah, are you there? Can I get
I'm
a
here.
yeah? Hi there.
Hello. Hi.
Trying to
So when I'm in, oh, can you hear me?
sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't find you on the screen, but that's okay.
Do I need to, can you see me now? Is this,
Oh yeah, yeah. I see. I
sorry.
think I see you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just
Yes.
go ahead. Yeah.
When I'm in full meditation, I don't feel a structure anymore, but I feel awake and thoughts are just streaming through my mind and I am just allowing and I am just being. And then all of a sudden it'll just be like I just, and then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just sit back up again and then it'll be like,
Hmm.
it's like my body is asleep, but this is present.
Right.
And
So
is that
you, so
Priya or is that
so that awareness that you're experiencing in that is that the same awareness that is here now?
no?
Okay. So in Turiya, the fourth state, like that, the I am, or you could say like the ground of our being, is that which does not come and go. So it's like the ground. Our awareness has woken up to itself. So it's like the mind, can come and go. The mind can drop off, but that awareness remains ever present. So whether you're in waking, dreaming, or deep sleep, the awareness just is. Um, and the way to really know Turiya is, in deep sleep, when the mind and body completely drop off, is there a sense that of continuity? This, it's like an unfathomable continuity of somethingness, but it's not a thing. It's just the sense that haven't gone anywhere, even though the mind completely drops off and comes back. Yeah, so I would say, in that, if the so did you say the mind, there was a lot of thoughts being generated preceding this happening as well, or?
It's just the awareness of like thoughts are kind of coming in and going out, and I'm present
Yeah.
and I'm here. And then I'll be like, okay, let's check in on the body. And it's like I don't feel my body anymore. I don't feel the structure. And then it's like it just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I know consciously that I am here
Mm-hmm.
doing meditation.
So maybe, whatever that is, when you say I am here, that I that you're referring to, yeah, explore that I. Is that a different I than the I that's here now, or is there's a character here that's awake, but is that I, the fundamental I here in this moment?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Anything, the phenomena that unfolds is, sometimes things are happening for a reason, and I take it as an opportunity to just, whatever's happening, to know ourselves more deeply.
Veronica.
Hello.
Hello.
So I had something I wanted to share, but Sam sparked a question I wanted to ask. Do you walk around saying Dan the character, or do you use I in your everyday?
I use normal language. Yeah, yeah. My yeah, my family, my sister would just slap me if I started talking like that. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's here too. We're both during the retreat, and we walk around going, the character avatar feels this, and it's just like
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't do that. I think I went through a little phase where I tried that out, and I dropped it pretty quick. So yeah.
yeah, we're in that phase. Okay, so
I have two names, so that's it.
um So what I wanted to share, like the dyads in general have just been, I just find them to be absolutely beautiful. There's an intimacy in asking that question between people that just invites such authenticity. It's really a beautiful, beautiful process. And so each one has been amazing for me, and I resonate with the roller coaster effect because that's kind of what it's been. It's been like moments of joy and then moments of sadness coming up and just kind of flowing in and out of that. And then last night I actually reached out to somebody at your team, but I was having a lot of struggle in my body coming up because empathically I was just overwhelmed, or the body was just overwhelmed with the emotions of myself and the people that I was working with. And there was just the mirror neurons that were going back and forth were just so strong that my avatar, my character was just really struggling for a bit of time that I wasn't sure how to go through the last dyad. So that felt like I had a question about that. Although when I went up to do the yoga nidri, it just like all settled and vanished. And so it was just, like I said, a roller coaster, a mix back and forth. Part of me felt like I needed to, and I think I said this in it. There was a facilitator there, but that I needed to just like disassociate a little bit just to stop the pattern of it from happening because it was emotionally feeling very overwhelming and
Yeah.
uncontrollable almost.
Yeah, and there's something I'd like to really highlight there. Whenever there is like a true overwhelm happening, then it's like I was saying with the wiring. Like that can come, and if we're empathic, we're, there's so much energy coming through and emotion, and it can overwhelm the system. So I would say, if the way to tell really, if you're going into overwhelm, there's certain signs, and yeah, just like an extreme sort of almost like the nervous system can't take it anymore, that type of feeling. Sometimes there can even be, if it continues, you can get sweating, nausea. To me, those are signs of overwhelm, and that's when we just want to back off a little bit with, just be kind of nurture ourselves, take care of the self structure, and at the same time, like when we do come to that threshold, there is a rewiring. So we are gaining a capacity to move that energy, to allow it to be there, without reaction. So it is productive, as long as if we start to dissociate, then it's not productive. Then we're actually, we're kind of, a part of us is kind of going offline or going into the unconscious. And so to know that threshold, for yourself, is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of that was happening. I mean, I was having just very bad tightness in my chest, and that was like started to come up at the end of the second one. That's why I messaged out, because I didn't want to go into a third one bringing that energy to the person I was working with, but
Yeah.
I did, and I had to just work with it. But I was just emotionally crying a lot, and so was the other person. So it was
Yeah.
at some degree adding to it for me.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I wrote with it, but it was challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and did you feel like in that, when you were going through that, was there equanimity, yeah, like sort of surrounding it, or was it a sense of um, a lot of resistance in that?
There wasn't, I wasn't resisting it. I've done a lot of that type of self-observation before, so I was aware that it was coming up.
Hmm.
So I was able to work with it for a bit of time, and
Hmm.
then it just started to feel like, yeah, it was really affecting my nervous system, and
Yeah.
I needed to just allow it to separate a bit in order to hold the space that I was in and really show up for my partner, and not go too far into the deep end of some old wound that was being brought through that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good that you can see that. And I think, it may be something where you continue to kind of touch into that, and then at a certain point there may be a time where it can be allowed fully, but sometimes, these mechanisms within us are there for a reason. There's a point where your nervous system is sending you signals like, no, back off, let's just slow it down here a little bit. And there's an intelligence there. Sometimes we need to slow it down a little bit, and then allow that wiring to evolve and grow. And then there may be a point where it's like the container, that equanimity will be there to fully allow whatever it is to come up and release.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like it's just like I can feel the divinity in me, and I can feel it in others, and the amount of suffering that seems to have to come along with it in order to get to the place of feeling and seeing that is just can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. I'm glad you've made it conscious. That's the main
Yeah.
thing. That process. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Maria next to me has a quick question.
Oh, sure.
I can't see myself, but hi.
Hi, Maria.
Can you see? Hi. I have a quick question that it's actually two questions, but Penny just touched on it with your answer. And it really was showcased last night in the dyad for me when the facilitator was in the room. So all of my life, I didn't realize what it was until the past few years, but I can check myself out of myself and see the situation and evaluate the situation, replay it back. I could hear a very unbiased. And then I would come back into myself and then either say, oh, that was me who did it. Like I was always two people. I would think two people. And I've used that tool all of my life. And then many times, about 4 times in my life in the past few years since I've been unfolding like this, I've left my body and I would see myself in the tree, and we're going to touch on the myself for a minute. I would see this energy in the tree of this almost like a star-like, and I could see inside the houses. I would see what room she's in, and I could see my body and what was going on. And I would watch all this and observe. And one time, like she kept calling me, and I did not want to come back, did not want to come back, but I could see her cooking and dinner was ready. And so last night when we were doing the dyad, I found myself checking in and out of both eyes. It's the I, the character, which I'm aware of, and it's the I who I always said is me that I know of, but the character sometimes just gets out of control. So when I was going quiet into the I space of the non-character, that's what I always called it, the true I. So how do I address how I feel about that without an I? Do I just change the phraseology? Because when I said I am just observing myself, observing the character, because I can do that. And then the facilitator was, who are you referring to as the I? And I was like, both. And he was like, well, go inside. And I feel that there's always a two of me without being split. I used to think sometimes because I went for a psych degree that I was maybe split, and then I had to unfuck my mind in plain English from what I was taught.
Yeah.
And then I also have like computer degrees. So I used to process my mind like a computer and say my CPU is running. Everyone used to think I was crazy. The operating system is processing this. Everything's stored on my hard drive or the flash drive.
Yeah.
So I see all of that operating. And when you just said how the universe is a machine, I see everything like a system.
Yeah.
So the second fold of that question is this artificial intelligence that has any intelligence? Because we started at one point in the mineral realm without food based on systems of systems.
Yeah, so I'd like to maybe talk about all these different eyes, you know. Um, so to me, like the psyche is made up of all these different eyes, and as we go deeper into the dyads, it's an amazing phenomenon to watch where people will discover these different eyes, and it sounds like you have uh, almost like a city or something that comes online where there's, if you're able to sort of move around outside of your body and that type of thing. So that's an kind of a unique unfolding within the self structure. But those separate eyes, we get a sense of them in the dyad, and I've had people, it's amazing. It's like there's like 6 of me. There's like all these different eyes showing up, and so, but there's at the root, or not even at the root, but there's an awareness that is the knower of all these different eyes. There's one awareness. So when we awaken, the truth is there's only one of you. There's only one. There's only one, period. So so all of these different eyes, it's good to see them. It's good to make them conscious. We want to make them conscious, but then inquire into the one who is aware of all of these different eyes. So when you're having an out of body experience, there's an awareness that knows that. When you're having an in the body experience, like right in this moment, there's an awareness that's here and right now. So that's what we want to directly experience. And all of these different eyes can come up in the dyads. That's perfectly fine. It's great. We get to see them, and it's fascinating how divided the mind can be sometimes.
So when I see the awareness outside or within me observing, I don't use, so I shouldn't use the phraseology I then. I should
Well,
call it,
even,
I
so
kept
when
saying
you,
it is what it is.
yeah, so even saying when I see the awareness outside, you know, it's
Oh,
not it's that there's a split there. So we want to directly experience. So when we say I am, you know, it's like I'm referring to that awareness. You know, so you know, so you're not looking for something with the mind. Um, you know, it's like when the mind settles, it's that which remains.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
And
Thank
is
you.
this intelligence artificial or did AI create us?
Uh,
And I don't feel that way, but it's a conversation my son continually wants to have because what he
yeah,
says is he's awakened to all of this and he knows. And
yeah,
he's like, do you think the human is more intelligent than anything else? Or
yeah.
this
It's
this
I
machine?
could definitely go down that rabbit hole for sure. You know, it's an interesting conversation, and I think, you know, there, if, you know, I love one of the guys on one of my films, Donald Hoffman, really goes into this, and he talks about, you know, behind the simulation, there's a sort of you know, there are these conscious agents. So and it's almost like the programming level, you know, behind a game. You know, there's like a structure and conscious operators, and we can just keep going deeper and deeper into this. And but the truth is, I don't know. That's my final answer on it.
You just made me realize probably why I do the split was because I coded and designed neural networks for animals, for
Mm,
pigeons and everything. So I would
mm,
always have to be the split.
mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Ines, and sorry if I pronounce your name wrong.
Hello, everybody. Ines,
Ines. Yeah.
Ines. Yeah. Yeah, I would also like to thank you all for your sharings, hearing questions and answers, and in dyads, and of course to you, Dan, and the entire team. This is my second retreat. I'm repeating. Yeah, so I have three things. I will be short. The first is this observation of the process in this retreat compared to the first one. So what I noticed is that my character was much more prepared for being attacked. So I meet more obstacles than in the first retreat, but that was somehow I knew that I will face this.
Mm,
So in this retreat, my mind is going really from one extreme to another. It's really hard to find this somehow middle way. My mind is either totally hyperactive, not possible to concentrate on meditation object, or overloaded with thoughts, or the other extreme, for example, when I had in meditation that I was almost 1 hour, around 1 hour in this pure concentration, blank space where hardly any thought came through,
mhm,
which was also new to me because this was a really strong experience. But there's either one side or another. There's really jumping from here to there. There's this, it's not so stable or smooth, let's say
mhm,
smooth.
mhm.
Yeah.
And do you have a preference of one side or the other?
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, a blank space feels more calm
Yeah.
than overloaded mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something, you know, something to watch because, you know, really in the big picture, it's the equanimity is what we're cultivating. You know, the equanimity is really the fundamental quality of awareness. You know, awareness has no preference. It's choiceless. It has no preference of one thing or another. So if there's a preference there, the fastest way to become free of the self structure is to notice those preferences and let them go, so that we're not preferring one state over another, and just to see that operation of that mind that is choosing, you know.
Yeah. I'm in a phase of accepting, so it is like it is. And I also noticed that I have problem. I mean, addictions were a big problem in my life. I'm recovered now for many years, 15 years. So it's not something that bothers me at all in my everyday life. I don't even use any therapy or self groups anymore. But it doesn't come out in the dyads, but it happens in meditations usually, or in this free time that I have this really these old patterns or some impulse comes through. It's not in a way that it would trigger the mind into doing something stupid, not at all, but I don't know, for example, in one meditation, there was a sudden strong smell of heroin. And it was like, it smells really nice to me. It will always smell nice. But it was like, it came, I said, oh, okay, oh, hello, you're here, you smell nice, goodbye. And it was interesting to observe how the mind was not triggered. It
Amazing.
came, it left. And I did Iboga retreat many years ago. It was really helpful to me. So I know that I cleaned a lot of these addictive and self-destructive patterns in my life. But I also know that deep inside there are still some remains. But I can't go so deep to clean them out completely.
That's an amazing insight and experience. It's amazing that came back. You know, the smell and the mind. You know, it's yeah. If you had equanimity, you just allow it to arise and pass away. And to me, that is, you know, there is a deep purification happening there. If you're not reacting, you know, those things that you know, that may have been a trigger in the past, you know, to triggering a behavior or reaction, and the reaction is not there now. So it may be just you know, purifying the roots of that old pattern. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that this was the first, in this retreat, I think I had the first experience of equanimity of the mind. Like, yeah, like this smell of heroin that appeared in meditation. And in the second day of dyads, I had this beautiful, subtle experience of dropping of the mind. And this, when I heard you talking in the first retreat and also now about these subtle experiences, I didn't know what you were talking about, because my past experiences of awakening were really fireworks and this high peak experience. And to me, it was completely unlogical. How can this be subtle? And here in the dyads, there was this incredible lightness of being, simply being fully alive came through. And also I knew already because of past experience that this experience will also go, that it will leave me. So this was actually this equanimity. It was appreciated, but I was not irritated when it left, because the mind got after it its grip again. But maybe this absence of fireworks helped me to stay more equanimous, to let go.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me that is it. You know, what we're doing here is we're learning to just unhook from the preferences of the mind, you know, and the more we do that, the more, you know, we see what's here every moment. Just the simplicity, the beauty that's here right now in this moment. And you know and on the other end of the spectrum we could have like a kundalini awakening and we get the fireworks and all of that, and you know we can experience that with that same equanimity, you know, just allowing the whole continuum of life to flow.
Yeah, I mean, those past experience, I grabbed them right like a real junkie, you know. They were beautiful and they were mine, and I didn't want to let them go. And yeah, so it was beautiful, beautiful experience. So I would move to the second question. Now that I already mentioned my addictions and these patterns, I know that you don't do these iboga retreats like they are made for some trauma healings or junkies and so on. But I'm thinking really to maybe repeat to maybe try with iboga one more time to go maybe even deeper.
Yeah, I'll private message you or you know, connect with you about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have some possibilities for you, like a connection if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
And also a question, Vipassana retreats and dark retreats. I'm planning to do one of them next year. Because this year it will almost for sure not be possible. I feel a little bit more drawn to dark retreat, but I haven't done Vipassana or dark retreat yet. So I would, if you can tell me maybe what are the main differences and the main benefits from Vipassana and dark retreat?
Yeah, so Vipassana, where you're really just doing that body scan that I taught. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and so what that is doing is you're finding the energetic blocks, you know, the samskaras, these old patterns, traumas, whatever it is, and it's like a purification. So you're cultivating equanimity, really very similar to what we're doing here, and they just focus on that technique there, and that's it. They just give you that technique, and you're doing that all day, and it's an amazing technique for purifying the samskaras. It works really well, and so whatever habit patterns of the mind are there, it's a way to get to kind of the root of those patterns. So the darkness retreats. So there's many different traditions, and I don't know I don't know a lot about some of the traditions. I know that the Tibetans do it, you know, like the lamas will go and do darkness retreat. The Taoists have, like Mantak Chia in Thailand has a darkness retreat. And I know that, you know, some of these traditions, they're doing practices, they're doing like a Qigong practices and different techniques. And I don't know enough about that to really say much about it. But I know from my own experience going into the darkness, for me, it was more. It was at that point in my journey where I I felt really drawn to it because there was something very subtle that I needed to experience, like a subtle knowing of my inner energy in a different way, to come into that sort of non-dual space. And it was actually one of my first real experiences of that non-dual space. So it's the type of thing you can just do, like create a room. That's really what all I did when I moved to this property. I built a box basically, and I just got in there, blocked all the light, and made sure there was airflow, and just explore. And it's a beautiful way to just come to know yourself. A lot when the endogenous DMT activates, it's very similar to psychedelics actually, but it's more natural and more gradual. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for the end, I would just like to share with other participants, because I noticed also in these questions, answers, and also during dyads, I see some familiar faces from the first retreat, that there are participants who had already awakening experiences, and the great source for me about when you have the experience and you lose it. And this was a very confusing part of my path for me, because I also didn't have information and knowledge. The first one happened out of nowhere. It fell on my head like a hammer out of nowhere. And then the process started, and between the first and another, it passed 4 years actually. And it can feel very, very disappointing when you lose this. So it's Ramana Maharshi's devotee, David Godman. You maybe have heard of him. He was a librarian there in Ramana Maharshi's ashram, and he has a very, very well documented real life stories of devotees and other seekers about samadhi experiences and losing the experiences and how the path goes. And it's a great source of information. I found many, many answers there also about self-inquiry. And it's a great source to find some answers. It's really realistic. It's a real contrast to this sugar-coated spiritual industry that we are somehow overflooded today. And there are real life stories. This was really, really helpful to me on my path.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe you could share a link
I will
in
share.
the chat. That Ramana Maharshi's community is, there's a lot of very deep wisdom there.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing
yeah, I
that.
will share. I know that we are not supposed to use internet otherwise, except for this retreat for Zoom. So I can do it at the end of retreat, or I can do it now.
Yeah, maybe
As
at the end, if you remember,
at the
that
end
would
of
be
retreat,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because it's enough material for at least 1 month if you are really, really active to go
Yeah.
through. Yeah,
Awesome.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have time for one last question, Dan?
Sure. Let's do one more. Yeah.
Okay, Sarah?
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Sarah.
I just wanted to, thanks for working with me yesterday and taking this question. I just wanted to clarify something a bit further, going off of the question that someone else asked about overwhelm, because that's what was happening in meditation and it was just too much.
Yeah.
But for me, that is kind of happening all the time, like outside of this retreat as well. And so there's sort of this idea of like, or this sense of myself being here and like an overwhelming sensation in the nervous system
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And so if the advice for like during the retreat is back off of the practices, what's the advice in life? Like a thought that I have is like, okay, I'm thinking about those two horses you were talking about, and it's like maybe some other parts of my life need to be shored up a bit. Like there's like focus on other things like comfort and that kind of stuff in to like calm down this nervous system thing. But I also know that through spiritual practice, I do break through this sometimes to other kinds of states.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So it sounds like there's a few insights in there. Um, yeah. So like in my own experience, there was a point early in my path where I was living in Toronto. My nervous system was getting overwhelmed all the time. Certain environments, stimulus wasn't just easily dealt with. And so my approach at that time was to move out of the city, move into someplace more peaceful, and it was what I needed at that time. And then getting into meditation, doing this work, gradually, bit by bit. And at the beginning, it was like just a crack of possibility of opening. But over time, the wiring becomes more established. Certain practices could, like if the nervous system is very sensitive, there's certain practices like there's certain qigong practices that can actually create or sort of like an energy around the body. It can help you to make that connection, the mind body connection to the filter, like the filtering mechanism of the body. So I can share that with you if it's a practice you are interested in. And
Yeah, sure.
yeah, and so there, I would say like sometimes it's like we have to take a step back to take two steps forward then later. So I think nurturing ourselves, creating a safe container where we can do this work, not overwhelming the system. If the little self feels overwhelmed, then you can actually develop an aversion to meditation and all of this work. So it's going to be counterproductive. So we want to take care of that little self, and nurture it when it needs it, and yeah, and there can be some practices that could be helpful in this. Certain types of yoga and certain types of qigong can be extremely beneficial, I think, for helping to filter the world. Yeah.
And so then for those times when spiritual practice does seem to break through for me, that kind of says to me that like it's not necessary that I need to abandon the path completely, but just kind of regulate it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To me, it's like in the big picture, we want to optimize the human experience. So, optimizing the human experience, if we abandon the path, it's not going to optimize. It's going to be, just the character going through life, and on the other, it's like the white horse that is going for spirituality. If we go too much into that, that's not going to do it either. It's going to be, a disconnect from life as well. We have to nurture and honor whatever that conditioned part needs as well. So yeah, I think there's a middle way with it.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's great connecting, and we'll see you in a few hours at the yoga class. And we'll, whoever's here, whoever has their hand up here, we'll connect with them, with you guys first next time, or I'll try and find you in the dyads as well. Yeah. So thank you.
I've got the list for you, Dan, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.